Hey everybody, I know I do that, like to try and drive excitement. Tonight's Den of Thieves, right? 2 hours and 20 minutes. Gerard Butler is in it, and it's a heist movie, essentially. I've tried to read the synopsis, a synopsis, if you will. But basically, there's a sheriff's department, and then there's a bunch of LA's finest robbers going to try and rob the Federal Reserve. That's all I know. And somebody gets caught in the middle? I don't know. Tried to read all of them. But you know, the best way to determine what this film is really about is to wait for the first check-in. So instead of getting into greater detail about the synopsis that I have read, I will tell you that IMDb has this at a 7.1, which is pretty impressive for IMDb. Rotten Tomatoes, 41% of the critics and 66% of the audience. So I'm excited to see it. I like these heist movies, and I like Gerard Butler. So we'll see what happens. I'll get into it a little bit more and give you a better idea of what this film's really about. Alright, so stay tuned. I'll be back. Hey everybody, want to do a quick check-in here. Den of Thieves, 48 minutes, 17 seconds. A lot of movie left, an hour and 31 minutes left, but just about the types of notes to share with you, but I figured, let's stop and let's talk about it. So real quick, there's a crew, crew of thieves, ex-cons, ex-military type people who are, very good at robbing, and the initial scene is them stealing an armored truck. And then there's Gerard Butler, who is the head of the task force for stopping. I don't know what branch of the government he's in, but he's the one who's supposed to stop these people from stealing, obviously. And then they grab one of the guys, one of the crew members, who's the driver, and try and turn him. So that's the guy who's caught in the middle. So he is kind of so far working with the police, so he's not doing anything yet, but they've identified him and they've spoken to him, but he's also working with the crew. Right off the gate, right off the bat, this movie reminds me of Heat. So if you haven't seen Heat, great movie. You gotta check that movie out. Val Kilmer, Robert De Niro, a lot of good actors. Great movie. This is very similar. It's got the same feel to it. So if you like that movie so far, you would like this one. The reason I stopped it right here, because I was just about to take this note. They're keying on the Los Angeles branch of the Federal Reserve. They want to rob that, and they talk about how impossible it is to rob it, whatever. Well, the driver, who is in cahoots, I think, so far with the police or the government agency that's trying to take these guys down. Anyway, he gets a job at a food delivery place. Let's call it Chinese. I don't know yet. It just happened. But, they're trying to figure out a way how to get in there and stuff like that. So he goes into the Federal Reserve with a delivery. Now, I work in a building, and we don't have the tightest security. We have not much to steal. But if somebody brings food into our building, they go to the receptionist desk, and the receptionist will call the person who ordered the food to come downstairs and get your food. He has now been granted a visitor's badge to go and actually deliver it within the Federal Reserve. I highly doubt that that's what really happens in the Federal Reserve. He just went in, put his ID down, carried the food, it got scanned, and he took it in. So a slight piece of, I don't know, I don't think that was a good part, because that's very unbelievable. Don't do it in my place of work. They're not going to do that at the Federal Reserve. But anyway, that aside, so far good. A lot of good action. This is a good, fun movie. Like I said, very similar to Heat. But I'll get back into it a little bit more. You now have the synopsis better than the synopsis I was reading to you earlier, which was a little blurry. You shouldn't, drink as much before you watch me, because that's what happened. All right, just kidding. I'll be back in a bit. Stick around. Hey everybody, we're at the credits of Den of Thieves, and I have to tell you, I'm pleasantly surprised. It was a lot of fun in the beginning. Kind of reminded me of Heat, as I mentioned, and The Town, those kinds of movies. So it was fun, but then it seemed like that's all it really was, nothing different. But they surprised me. So I enjoyed it. I'm going to give it an 8. A couple of things I just want to share. I almost stopped it to talk to you. There's this one point, not a spoiler alert, but it's a fun part of the movie where one of the, it has nothing to do with really with the film so much that one of the crews, the bank robbers or whatever, 50 Cent is actually the actor, and his daughter is going to the prom, and the boy comes and knocks on the door, and 50 Cent says, "Let me talk to you real quick." Pulls him into the garage, and in the garage is like the crew, the guys, you know, all muscles and mean and looking at him, and like it's a pretty neat part. Like you think about when you have daughters and you want to scare these boys who are taking them, and he takes them into like some of the meanest guys around and says some stuff. So I thought that was a great part of the movie. I enjoyed that. But then the movie just continued as though it was like Heat, essentially a 2017-18 version of Heat. And it was good, but then I was like, okay, you know, and it was a little cat and mouse kind of game. Like Gerard Butler was the sheriff's office, by the way. Sheriff's office was the ones that was tracking these people down, but he was giving himself up, letting them know, kind of giving away his inside source, you know what I mean? He was showing a lot of his cards, and I thought that was odd. And then the only other criticism I had was, it seemed like the timelines were kind of messed up. I'll give you a bad example, but it happened in the movie. Gerard Butler has a wife and 2 kids. He comes home, evidently she leaves him, like for whatever. He texted her the wrong thing or something like that. But obviously there was stuff going on before that. Whatever, she leaves. And like almost in the very next scene or the scene right after that, he gets served with divorce papers. Like there wasn't enough timeline. Like it's like all those, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing messed up. And some of the action parts where they're doing some of the heist, you know, the bank robbers are so far ahead of, you know, like everything that they had to do ahead of the sheriff's office in a timeline manner than they should have been. You know, and without giving it away, it's hard to explain. That was the only thing I think they messed up in this. You know, it shouldn't have been that much of a gap. Again, it's hard to explain. But overall, they're the only criticisms I have. I really enjoyed the film. I like the acting. Gerard Butler plays himself, but the other actors in it were really good. You know, it for the most of the movie, it was a very similar heist movie, but then they spiced it up for you. So I recommend it if you're into these types of things like I am. Very enjoyable. I'm giving it an 8. I was 7 for most part, and I hate to give 7s, but then it was like bam. So really good one. Check it out. Let me know what you think. Hopefully I encouraged you to watch this movie if you're into action heist type movies. And if you watch it, I'd love to know what you think. Thanks for tuning in. Kimmel's Irish Pub.